Yeah, I'm Scott Schertzen. Below me is Mr. Obie Spencer. Brandon Kay will be popping on in a little bit, and depending on how the Jets do, if they're not going to screw it up, JD Walker might be coming on as well. He is actually not overly crazy about the Aaron Rodgers deal. Brandon, however, is already going full out Cowboy fan mode and guaranteeing a Super Bowl for the Jets this season. So he will be discussing that hardcore when he comes on, probably a little bit later. In the meantime, how you doing?
I'm great. One of my favorite non-competitive sports days of the year. Actually, my favorite non-competitive sports day of the year. And I'm a guy who watches F1 practice racing. So, this day's a lot. This is exciting. This kind of, to be honest, takes me back to 1990. I think it's one. When the very top heavy quarterback class with memorable names like Tim Couch, Keely Smith, Cade McNow were all being touted. And there was a couple of good ones in there as well. Non-Hall of Famers, but definitely good quarterbacks, McNabb and Culpepper. And there's a lot of talk at number 2. What is going to happen? We're pretty sure number 1 is going to be a quarterback, just who. But at number 2, that's the real intrigue. Will it be a quarterback? Will it not? And I know a lot of people are like, oh, go get your guy, go get your quarterback. But if I'm Houston, and I think that all these other guys are Tim Couches and Achilles Smiths, so not Donovan McNabbs. I think you're better off grabbing a defensive player, like a equivalent of that year might have been Champ Bailey. I don't know, ever hear of him? Or, even Booger McFarland, who, might be better known now for what he's doing on TV, but a heck of a player. So was Javon Curse. If you can get that guy, build this Texan team around, and then get a defensive starter that starts 5 years. In 5 years, maybe Dak is available, and you get an old quarterback in Dak. Maybe Daniel Jones proves he's good, but not as good as the Giants one. You get, or that relationship sours. There's a lot of quarterbacks who may be soured on their relationship with their team and pulling Aaron Rodgers. And, as I said when we had this conversation, in the last 10 years, it's arguable that 5 of the quarterbacks were quarterbacks who were older quarterbacks discarded from their teams that won. Definitely the Brady Super Bowl. Definitely the.
So, he popped out for a minute, but now he's popping back on. I was going to say Peyton Manning will also be another guy on that too. So.
Yep. And then there's Nick Foles, arguably, right? I mean, he kind of was discarded and picked up. So you can build it with a young quarterback and a lot of talent, like we just saw the Eagles do, like Kansas City had done, and now they're trying to do it with a super stud quarterback with a little less talent. Or you could do it with an old quarterback and a lot of young talent that's super cheap around him, which the Jets are going to try to do. So maybe that's Houston's long-term play, which I'm interested to see how this all works out, number 2. And then if I were a real big betting man, as opposed to my $2 every now and then on a game, I would say whatever quarterback Indy gets is the right one, only because Manning, Luck, and then this year. But that's complete hogswoggle, but that's going to be my call. The right quarterback will be the one that Indy picks. That will be the guy.
Well, Indy's got, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and to that point, I want to say, and this is all credit to you. I mean, you constantly talk about what would have happened to the Giants guy Haskins, because you are a guy who always says it's not just the quarterback talent. It's the coaches around and understanding and matching up with that talent that creates a system that works. So that's another whole thing that goes into this.
And ironically enough, obviously, if the Giants had gotten Haskins, things could have been a little bit different. Growing up in New Jersey, he might have still petered out. You don't know. It might have easily been one of those things where we went absolutely nowhere also. But we are where we are now, for better, for worse, for what it is. But I think when it comes to Houston, though, I think if they're probably listening to offers, rumor has it they're actually listening to offers right now, for someone who wants to take the number 2 pick. Carolina, like you said, will probably take a quarterback. That would make sense, But I think if I'm Houston, I would sit there and I would trade down, maybe open up a couple of number 2s. You have a lot of holes there that can be picked up by day 2 guys. Michael Strahan was basically was a day 2 guy. So you can get quality stuff, in that second round there. So because of the holes that they have, it might make some sense. But the question is, who would want that second pick overall, and what would they be willing to give up for it? Supposedly, the Arizona Cardinals have been looking at possibly doing the same sort of thing in this case. But who knows in that case what's going to do? But both those teams desperately need help. I don't think Carolina is that far off right now. I think they've got a couple of things that they need to shore up. The quarterback situation. I mean, that's literally a revolving door quarterback scenario there. So, you get somebody like a Chase Young, you get somebody like that, and then you just run with it, roll with it, and go. I think the fact that Seattle has a 5th pick overall is a really good spot for them. But they got to shore up a few things on their own side. So I don't know. We'll be in for this. We'll see what happens. We'll make our analysis, our thoughts process on that. They have not officially started as far as I can tell yet, and they probably won't for a few minutes anyway. Ironically, because this is being aired on ABC, the special guest that they're having is Chris Pratt. Coincidentally, Chris Pratt is in is the main lead in the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Both ABC and Marvel are owned by Disney. What a coincidence!
That's shocking. That's mind blowing that would happen. Unbelievable. Had it been a few weeks earlier, this would he would have been too busy with NBC Universal doing Donkey Kong. Mario Brothers. He wouldn't have been able to have been here. But
dude, that movie's going to make $1 billion too. That movie is already on track to outperform every Marvel movie since Phase 4 started.
Well, I have been touting that the video game movies are coming, but that's a different product that we have here on Stream Punk. Maybe I can.
We've discussed that on that side too.
Yeah, maybe I can jump in on tails to pat myself on the back that I've been calling this.
Just don't hurt your shoulder when you do.
Oh, I will. I will break them both.
You're like, I'm worth the pain.
Yeah, Donkey Kong. But that being said, I do think we are also have a very intriguing draft with the number of quarterbacks, and I mean, you can make a sound argument that there's 4 quarterbacks who could be number 1 pick, depending upon which team saw them how. And also in those first 4 picks, only 2 of those teams might take a quarterback. I mean, which makes it, like you said, if Texans don't trade, that only makes the Cardinals' desire to trade even higher. Because if Texans grab a quarterback, that's 1 less defensive player with, you got the two guys out of Alabama and Carter's out of Georgia and Anderson, Alabama, both available. You could then make that move. If you're the Cardinals, make that move with Indy. Forget it. I mean, it's great. And like you said, I think Seattle and Detroit. I think you have a quarterback who's proven that they're good enough to get you there. Give them some more weapons to work with. And then all of a sudden, there's Jimmy Garoppolo with a rookie quarterback in front of him in Oakland. Yeah. I almost feel bad for him, except who can feel bad for a guy who's that good looking,
Yeah, I know. He's got that boyhood charm there. You know what he looks like? He kind of has this look of like Brandon Ruth,
Yes. So we're going to call him Superman.
Yeah, that's not me by any stretch. So
no, that's one of those people who is so handsome. I mean, he's a very handsome man. There's nothing you can do to argue that.
And that's actually more like a natural pick too. That doesn't look like it was really entirely posed.
No, this is not a guy who's covered in makeup or anything. This is a guy in the game.
Covered in dirt and grass.
Yeah, this is not like Patty Mahomes, who's coming out with the Super Bowl trophy right now, who definitely is prepared to be on screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But all right. So anyway, like I said, that's a guy far better looking than we'll ever hope to be. C'est la vie. Back to the draft. There we go.
Yes.
So, not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted.
So if the little guy goes first, meaning Young, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that this is a guy getting ready to get smashed by a giant NFL football player, or do you feel that he's going to be able to survive, run around, find his holes in the pocket, and get the ball off?
I think he can. I mean, it's going to be one of those things. It depends on how they play him. If they give him a couple of years to just groom, get developed, and get familiar with, obviously Carolina has the quarterback to be able to do that. I think he'll be fine. But the question is, if they end up using throwing him right off the bat, then I think you're going to have a problem there. I really do. You know how I feel about that kind of stuff. When it comes to basically quarterbacks that immediately get thrown in right off the bat and then get burned out. And I think with Bryce Young in this case, part of the issue is the fact that he's going to a team right now that might struggle for a while, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on him. It's the same attitude that I had when it came to Zach Wilson. You throw these kids right out of the shoot. They're 22 years old, whatever it is. They don't have the ability to catch up to it. But what I think happens, and this is my theory, this is my tinfoil hat there. I need to get a tinfoil hat down here. What I think happens in this case is the understanding that there will always be another quarterback down the line. 2 years, 3 years. There's such an influx of them that you can draft a new QB. You can get the team, the fans excited. You can sell some jerseys, you sell some tickets. Then he peters out. You get the next one. You sell some jerseys, sell some tickets. Lather, rinse, and repeat. That's where I think a lot of
the Cleveland model.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of teams are starting to go in that direction. And as a result, you're getting what you're getting now. It's kind of a shame, really.
Yes, I mean, but I could counter with they threw Burrow right in, and his first year he got hurt. It was so bad, and 2 years next year in the Super Bowl, the following year, I'm putting him as a guy who's had 2 amazing years in a row. Let's call him one of our elite quarterbacks. Lawrence, he had a very rough rookie season, but last year was pretty good, and he looked good. But you're right. There are other guys. Mahomes sat on the bench behind Alex Smith, right? And boy, did that work out. So I think this goes back to the coach and the player and the organization, right? Because some coaches are going to be able to say, look, you're going to get crushed, but that's okay. This is what I want you focusing on these games. We're trying to win. You stay focused on this. Other coaches will be like, I don't have an offensive line to protect you. I don't got this. This other guy who's more experienced gives us the best shot at winning. I'd like to go, and next year it'll be your job. We're going to let him walk, right? And this is just all about, I think a lot of it's about that. It's about understanding your player, your system, and then having some free reign from the ownership, because like you said, the ownership wants to sell those, sell me those Mayfield jerseys. Sell me those Mayfield jerseys.
Well, actually, I was going to say now it's Andy Dalton. So 10 minutes on the clock for round. Yes, actually, these guys already knew what they were going to do. And this is part of the problem that happens there. These things take so damn long to get going that you peter out. I mean, we're at 8:15 already. You got to figure that they're going to have to try and figure out some other way to make this a little bit faster and run a little bit quicker.
Well, that's why they moved day one to only one round. Because here's what I will say. Pick number one should be 0 time on the clock.
Sure.
Like, you've had all this time.
Give them 2 minutes. They're on the clock right now. Give them 2 minutes to be fair.
But the rest of the picks in round one, I get the time. This is when the most trades are going to be made. This is when the most people are going to be interested in your pick. This is when you want to get the best deal. So 10 minutes doesn't kill me. But to start it off with 10 minutes, and don't tell me you're doing it.
Slows the product down.
Slows the product down. Don't tell me you're doing it for TV because you had a whole hour kickoff show. We got on here 3 minutes early, had to say what we had to say, and now we've been yammering for 17 minutes altogether. If we say we start 3 minutes early, so come on, that's more than enough TV time.
Yeah. Milk the ad revenue.
Yeah. I guess it's the ad revenue, but still,
the United States. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you 2 things. The United States, for starters, has the most commercials per hour of any country in the world. So it's about 20 minutes per hour. Additionally, and this is something I found fascinating, my mother-in-law has Jeopardy on here every single night. YouTube has the Jeopardy episodes before they go live, actually at like 7 p.m. The episodes run about 18 and a half minutes without commercials. So it's like, yeah. So, here we go. Rodgers 8 jersey with top. Yes, actually, you know what? It could be. Tom Brady's 12 with Tampa Bay was the highest selling jersey for a while there too.
I think this is unquestionable. The biggest media market.
But still, remember, they're the little brother of the Giants, so it's going to hurt a little bit there.
Right, but it's still it's still half of New York is bigger than any other media market, because any other media market that's close, LA, you even have to divide it in half. Chicago, but Chicago's not. I think it's 3 million compared to 5 million.
Well, Green Bay has like 100,000, like 105,000. So I mean, Green Bay versus Queens. Just throw one borough out there. Queens has like 2.1 million people in there. Our Big Brother still sucks. Oh, hey, Big Brother's watching you. But yeah, so you have to wonder if Aaron Rodgers starts to struggle, will the fan base turn on him? They might.
They might, but they'll buy the jerseys to burn them.
Well, yeah, like they did with LeBron the first time he left Cleveland. But I think in the end of the day, that's probably the right move in this case, just to give him, you got to make that trade in my mind. It gives the team some cred. Obviously, they're all over, ESPN right now, pundits trying to figure out what's going to happen. So in this case, actually, yes, Bryce Young drafted number 1, apparently. So NFL has not updated the website as yet, but that's okay. But that's, like I said, they got Andy Dalton for a reason, to mentor and develop a kid like that. He's been doing that for years, and he's been journeyman the last, 5 years? What teams has Dalton been with? Cincinnati, Dallas, now Carolina.
Did he go anywhere after between Dallas and Carolina? I think it's only been the 3.
Let's see. Where else did you?
Well, he wasn't Dallas's backup last year. He goes to Chicago.
Oh, yeah. He was with the Bengals till 2019. Then a year with the Cowboys, year with the Bears, year with the Saints, and now he's with Carolina. Boy, he is journeying this thing hardcore.
Making a nice living, not taking too many hits.
Yeah. The Saints in this case were, last year. So I missed the Saints on that, but it's going to be interesting to see what those guys do. But I mean, as far as like Andy Dalton, he's a good clubhouse guy. You know what you're going to get out of the ginger dude. So he's a good mentor. I think better than what they've had there with Darnold and PJ Walker and Baker Mayfield. He's Joe Flacco in some regards, I think, but
without the Super Bowl ring.
Yeah. But Flacco, I think, formally retired too. But I think, like I said, as far as this goes, yeah, it's kind of what you should expect and what the right move is. So officially, the Houston Texans are on the clock. They might actually still use that.
Yep, and the pick is in, so we'll see if it does.
Of course he is. He's not with the Jets anymore. I'm rooting for the kid though. I really am.
Yeah, maybe he'll. I not a great career, but he might have a season or two like.
It's my son.
Like over in Seattle.
How old are you?
It'll be interesting to see. Like you said, is Houston going to trade back? Let someone else take a quarterback here. This is take a quarterback or grab the defensive player.
Yeah. JD just now. He's like, I hate how they milk the first pick for the whole 10 minutes as if they haven't been thinking about this for months. Yeah, we just finished bitching about that. But see, that's the funny thing. You might see some changes going forward with something like this.
Yeah, it's really this first pick that kills me. Like, I don't mind 10 minutes for the rest of the
first 5 are usually pretty quick. I mean, at this point,
the quickest pick I ever remember was the Giants taking Barkley. Like, they came up, boom! I'm like, God, and it happened so quick. I'm like, it took Barkley. Who else would you take if you're taking it that quick?
Him or Darnold. And Darnold went. They're like, okay, we're going to the backup option. But
all right, here he comes to announce out the actual pick, and we were all shocked that it's Bryce Young.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like I said, a smart move all the way through.
Yeah, it was. Once the stories came out that CJ Stroud scored an 18 on that test, it just kind of seemed like, all right, this is what was happening. Because when the trade was first made, the talk was that he was going to go with Stroud because he wanted the bigger quarterback, but he did not. Once he started really looking into it, so. Like I said, you want to make sure you get the Donovan McNabb of this group.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need to get the Burrow or the Mahomes. Just give me a quarterback who can play for 10, 15 years. And I'm not wondering, do I need to do the extension, do the second extension, and then, on from there. And hopefully Bryce Young's that guy. Hopefully, the only concern about this guy is when he gets tackled by anybody, will he get up? every time he's going to get tackled in the beginning. Will he get up? Will he get up? Because he is small of stature in the real world, let alone in the NFL.
Yeah, he clocks in at 5'10", 194. So he's shorter than I am. A little lighter than I am, not much. But yeah, at that, do you see shades of like Doug Flutie there? Because Flutie was like 5'10", I think, wasn't
he? Yeah. And I think the NFL has conquered its fear of short quarterbacks, height in and of itself. But I think if you go look at what Russell Wilson was, I think he was 5'10", 205. Mm-hmm. That's another, and so it's the same height, that's 15 pounds, and it's all one thing. It's muscle to protect and prevent linebackers from drilling those shoulders into the ground. And that's the fear. I don't worry so much about seeing over the line of scrimmage. These NFL teams have figured out how to create passing lanes using blocking schemes. But boy, will he get crushed when TJ Watt hits him or whomever it is? Somebody going to fold him in half and make it look, especially today's NFL when you get a concussion, you're out of the game versus the older NFL, you get the concussion. Okay, I still can count to 10.
Ronnie Lott's like, it's okay. Cut off my finger. I'll go back in the second half.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think, like I said, they brought in Dalton, who is an established veteran in this case, and staying healthy. I think you give someone like Young a year, study, learn, adapt to the game itself, and then I think Carolina will be fine.
Yeah, I don't think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see him on day one.
Which really like I said, I don't like that. But again, the mentality is you can just lather, rinse, repeat, get the next one down the line.
Yeah, and he is Texas pick is in. So that was quick.
All right.
So they may have gone with Will Anderson as opposed to a quarterback after all.
Yeah, I've got this. It's live on Twitter right now, by the way. So, but Bryce Young runs a 4.52 40 is what he came back with. Top positions: quarterback, wide receiver, defensive lineman. That's why I thought they'd trade down, which maybe they still did. Oh, you said pick is in. Never mind. Scratch that.
No, the pick can be in, and it could be. Then it turns out it was a trade, and somebody else shows up with the pick.
So, but I think there's intrigue in this. To me, there's not nearly as much intrigue as last year, because all three of our teams have improved dramatically from a year ago, or from 2 years ago, I should say. So what Joel Sheen was able to do, what Brian Dable was able to do, we know as a Giant Nation what we're going to expect out of this. The Jets have done pretty much most of their moves at this point anyway. Mecole Hartman, Alan Lazard, Zava. So they're good as far as pretty much loading up for this year. Their drafts are going to be really designed for the future on this.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I know a lot of Eagle fans want to get Bijan Robinson at 10. I'm not in favor of that. I'd like them to continue to do what they do, which is build their lines. It's been how they've built teams, unless they, think JSN is there and available or something like that. Because at some point, AJ Brown's going to be old or older than his contract. It'd be nice to have somebody ready to fill in behind. You're going to have to pay Devonta Smith a big contract. So continuing to get young wideout would be one thing if you're going to be offensive. I don't see getting Bijan Robinson and then having to let him go, because that's what you have to do with these running backs. I mean, just look at the Giants, how they're just stuck with Saquon threatening to sit out because they're not going to pay him more than a franchise tag for more years than that. And he's not happy with that. And so this is a problem the running backs have.
But I think with the Giants in this case here, because of the fact that the team has shown marketed improvement, there will be a lot of running backs who'd be willing to come to New York where they wouldn't have during Gettleman's era. So you can replace somebody like Saquon Barkley more affordably too.
Exactly. I mean, the Eagles let Sanders walk. Sanders had his best year. They're like, thank you. We'll get somebody else. And I don't think that somebody else should be Bijan Robinson when there's probably going to be a defensive lineman or offensive lineman available. Kelsey is barely coming back this year. I mean, he's physically able to, but boy, Lane Johnson, another guy beat up, barely made it through the season. Their offensive line is fantastic, but only if they're playing, and they're getting a little long in the tooth. in football years.
Looks like they're about to announce here. CJ Stroud, you were correct. So right now the Cardinals are on the clock. There's some talk that they might go defensively in this case with Watt having chosen to retire, and also who scooted out? Zach Allen scooted, left Arizona. So you might find somebody them going on the defensive side. Not the bad choice there, but curious. Like I said, in this case, the Colts with number 4. Do they go quarterback?
Well, there's a lot of talk that they're going to trade here. Also, this is when they move Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
So, can they move Hopkins? Get back this? Who would want Hopkins, but also want to come up to the 3rd? That's like the sort of the weird question. You're putting a lot of pressure on him that way. Yeah. I hate to say it, but the Texans might Texan on this one. But listen, here's the other side of it, though. They got so many draft picks from getting rid of Deshaun Watson. I mean, they made a killing on that. And there's a lot to be excited about, at least from a frustrated Houston Texans standpoint. Yeah, but I don't know if he's going to be a bust. I have no idea. And we know that I don't know quarterbacks as much as I talk about football. I'm horrible at it, but so is everybody else. I just think that building a roster with all those picks and then trying to get a quarterback later would have been a better way to go.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, there's a lot to be said about day 2 guy.
Yeah. All right.
But as far as the Cardinals go, yeah, like I said, CJ Stroud.
Yeah, so the question is, do they get Will Anderson? Do they trade with the Colts? The Colts, I don't know who the Colts would want now, so I guess it's Will Levis for the Colts if they want to go quarterback, or the kid out of Florida.
The Colts don't really have to trade because there's no way logically in any world that the Cardinals would actually draft a quarterback. I mean, with the amount of money you've socked into Kyler Murray, you're riding that storm for a while.
Unless, but let's just pick a team who might want a quarterback. Let's say Green Bay. Let's say Green Bay. You might have to trade to prevent Green Bay from making the trade. And now Green Bay's offering is, a few picks better than it used to be.
I don't know. I mean, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks decided to go after a quarterback. I mean, they gave Geno Smith an extended contract. Smith did a nice job last year, but I don't know if he's necessarily the long-term solution. I liked what he did. I've been a big proponent and a big fan of Geno Smith for a long time, but he's also up there in years. He's about 32, 33 himself.
So if I'm sitting there in Seattle, although everything you said is right, there is one good quarterback in the NFC right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I'm a fan of Dak, but it ain't Dak. All right. And I think that the Giants weren't crazy for taking DJ6. I think they were just crazy claiming that someone else would have taken him. but
have decided to absorb the entire contract through next year.
But so I just think that Seattle has to build for this year. Take a shot, right? They got 2 first-round picks. They almost made. I just feel like Seattle's in a take a shot mode, which precludes taking a quarterback. Whereas number 7 pick, Oakland, Las Vegas. They, on the other hand,
Los Angeles,
wherever they may be, the Raiders. The Washington football team can make a move. They don't have much of a quarterback situation.
I mean, there's talk the Patriots might move on from Mac Jones.
Yes, but I think if they're moving on from Mac Jones, they're going to use Zappe.
Could.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me ask you. I want to get your opinion on this because I don't know if you said anything about this before. The Aaron Rodgers renegotiated contract. He's making barely over $1 million this year, but he's scheduled to make, I believe, $117.8 million next year. I personally, just out of sheer morbid, fascination, I would love to see the Jets pay him that next year. just to just shatter the NFL records off, right through the roof. But I'm curious, A, what's your take on it? And B, how are they going to adjust? Because no way that in reality can they do that.
Well, does he have a void year or some void years on the contract?
I don't
I've been looking more at Lamar's signing than.
Well, that's another thing too. The 5 years he got.
Yeah, so I can't imagine that's something that the Jets can obviously even remotely work.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, maybe he's promised them he will if he maybe there's something in there where it's guaranteed, but if he chooses not to come, it's forced retirement, something like that. So that
I don't know. Would you really retire and give up 117 mil?
Here's the thing. We don't know what the heck goes on in that man's mind. What I think happened
I would call him Zava.
is last year he stayed for the money and was miserable. Like if you read the Billy Beane story, like Billy Beane said, I'm never doing anything for the money again.
Hello. The Cardinals trade their pick to the Texans. And apparently the Texans have made a pick. Oh, this is going to be fascinating.
Oh, so now they go and they get the defensive guy they want.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. So now, I don't know what the Texans gave up, but the Texans have done, took a 2 and now have a 2 and a 3 in this case. So Bobby Bonilla, no, Rafael Devers, because that's the one that goes out to like year 2046 or something. We get $7.5 million a year. But Lamar Jackson, oh God, 5 years, 260. Credit to his mom for making that contract happen, but holy shit on a stick, man.
I mean, he got the next deal. Like he literally got the next.
He has missed. He played 12 games each of the last 2 seasons, so he has missed just shy of 1/3 of his games now.
I mean, I'm not sure how much better of a deal he got than he would have got had he not wait for Hurts. I think all due stuff goes out to Hurts. I think if you are a Baltimore Raven fan, you thank the Eagles and Hurts for getting it done and showing him, no, you're not getting a guaranteed contract. This guy just got his team to the Super Bowl. And so then he finally read the market right and made himself the highest paid quarterback, which is he was going to be. The only difference is maybe he would have gotten Hurts. Hurts would have gotten more than him. DJ wasn't going to get more than him. And now next year, and I already told you guys, I remember when we looked, Hurts is the highest. I'm like, by this time in 2 years, Hurts will be off this top 5 list. And it's already down 1, right?
But see, here's the thing. I have far greater faith in Hurts than I do in Lamar Jackson. From a youth standpoint, the way they can protect him a little bit more, there's a lot to be excited about if you're an Eagles fan with this deal. I don't think you have nearly as much to be excited about as if you're a Ravens fan.
I am equally as scared that Hurts will get hurt as I am as Lamar. Just because Lamar got it the last 2 years, roll the dice. It could be Hurts this time.
Well, you're putting all your eggs in one Hurt basket.
Yeah.
And I get it, dude. You bleed green there. So, by the way, the Texans took Will Anderson, linebacker.
Yep, which was the guy who they thought they were going to take at 2, and the Colts are now sitting here confused. I think.
It's funny. We're talking about C.J. Stroud not working out and everything like that. It's like, why would you waste it? Oh, wait, because they just landed the 3rd pick. Now, again, I don't know what they gave up to get the Cardinals to drop, but
yeah, I'm trying to.
But as far as that's
I don't have full internet access when I'm on, because if I try to do that,
it's okay.
Things will freeze. But maybe.
Yeah, I've got about 80, popping out at 85 megasecond, 86, 87, 88. Can I hit 90? 89, 90. I hit 90. Yay.
So the Colts are probably going to take Levis. But this is, again, like I said, 1991. All the 3 quarterbacks, they all went Couch, unless you were the one who ended up with Donovan McNabb. You had also ended up with Couch and Achilles Smith when you could have had a Champ Bailey who was an obviously all-time great cornerback, and some pretty good defensive linemen who had some really quality careers in Hurst, and two-time Super Bowl winner, and now ESPN personality Booger McFarland were two of the guys who you could have gotten, who were there for the taking, as was, and this is a slightly different era, Edgerrin James was somebody you could have picked and built around, and Ricky Williams, who, Ricky Williams had problems, but when he was on the field, he was fantastic.
I think, like I said, I think you make a good point on that. And it's funny because in my brain, I was thinking Tim Couch was 32 years ago. Because in my brain, I was also thinking like Brady Quinn, but that is another Cleveland Browns quarterback.
Right. The only reason, so just something came up on TV the other day, and so I turned to 1991 by just a dumb luck, and I noticed, I was like, wow, like this is a classic high number of quarterback draft. The guy who went first doesn't work out. The guy who gets second is as close to is one step off of a Hall of Famer. The guy who goes third falls flat on his face, and then you get Culpepper a little later in the draft after you get a couple of Hall of Famers, and then there's some other decent players who were drafted in that draft. In Curse, and I'm shocked. I was shocked when I saw that Curse wasn't a Hall of Famer.
Sure,
the freak was always somebody like, oh my god, how are we gonna, even back then, even in the running days of running football, how are you going to account for Hurst?
So I just wanted to pull this up as a joke here. The Browns QBs throughout the years. Bollocks. There we go. Yeah, Tim Couch, 2000. Yeah, you said going back. Bernie Kosar.
Yes. He was
but 1999, Tim Couch, then Ty Detmer, Peterson, Couch, Spurgon, Wynn. I don't remember who that was. Couch for a couple years, Kelly Hogan. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on, man. Kind of feel bad for him. Now they're stuck with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I don't. There was 4 years in a row with Baker Mayfield. I'm not here to say that Baker Mayfield was an all-time great quarterback, but I am here to say Baker Mayfield probably was worth keeping. And well, maybe they just didn't want. No, look, they didn't keep him, and nobody gave him that next quarterback's up money. But I think giving it to Deshaun Watson is going to prove to be a mistake also.
Well, Baker is now in Tampa, which I don't think is a bad matchup there.
He's going to have to compete for a job with Trask.
Yeah, but I think in this case it gives him a chance to continue to get paid.
Yep. Yeah. No, he's going to play football for another 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. He might journeyman like Andy Dalton is now.
Oh, he's already journeyman like Andy Dalton has.
I'm not ready to say it yet. I think if he gets another team in the next year, yeah, probably.
Oh, he's on his fourth team.
Fourth team or third team?
He was on 2 teams last year, Carolina and LA.
And the Rams. You're right. Okay, yeah. All right, that counts. I call him journeyman. You are correct, sir. I forgot he played with the Rams.
Yeah, and he did fine for the Rams. He wasn't fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a fine quarterback. Now, because he was the number 1 pick overall, fine isn't okay, right? Mm-hmm. That's the issue. Had he been a second rounder, you'd be like, are you telling me he's worse than Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, I mean, the pressure was on him in this case. But again, those commercials probably didn't help. Last year with the Rams, he started 4 games, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 170 yards passing. So really didn't do, huge numbers, but he did enough that he can control the game somewhat.
170 yards in 4 games?
On average, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, overall, he threw 850 yards in 129 passes. So, okay.
But there wasn't much of a team left by the time he was there, or much heart in those guys.
Yeah, that team was gutted.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, when Stafford and Goff traded cities in this case, it was tough on Goff initially. I think he went like 8 or 9 games before he finally won a game over there.
Yeah.
But Stafford obviously coming right out of the gate and then winning the Super Bowl. Now you can see the tides being switched the other way around. And Detroit has a much greater chance of reaching the Super Bowl now than the Rams do.
Well, so the Rams are a cautionary tale for Jet fans.
Mm-hmm.
That you got the golden ticket, you got it done. But to do it, you got to do it in a way. And so Jets fans have to look at the Rams, and there's got to be another trade or two, or a move that's going to have to take this team up another notch during the season. And hopefully Rodgers will have made it for the Jet fans, like they need to do that, and the Jets will do it. And then where you end up with a guy with $100,000 annual, whatever it is,
117.8 next year.
117.8 annual salary next year, and so then you're gutted again. So, but you got your one ring, you got your achievement, you saw it, you're happy. So. And I'm okay with that if I'm a Jets fan. I want to see it. I want to see my Super Bowl ring. I'm sure the Rams fans are happy. Tampa's not crying right now after having Tampa Tom for 2-3 years. They got their one Super Bowl out of it.
Well, let me ask you this. With the Aaron Rodgers deal, and presuming that in some way they're going to have to pay this $118 million over across however many years. Forget how they worked that part out. What is the bare minimum you would consider for the Jets to have success in this deal? I would say bare minimum a Super Bowl appearance.
I would disagree. For every year he's there, they must win a playoff game.
Okay.
For every year he's there. If he's there for 2 years, they win a playoff game each season. And I don't mean like win 2 1 year and 0 the next.
Yeah, every year you're talking.
Every year he's there, he needs to win a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
I think more than that you really start to get to luck of the draw. You have Patrick Mahomes in your division still, which as good as Aaron Rodgers is, he may have been Patrick Mahomes. He's not anymore. They have a unicorn right now in Kelsey. There's not a tight end that lines up like that, which may arguably be just as important as a quarterback. Thing is, we haven't seen the stud crazy good tight end without the stud quarterback yet. You know what I mean? Like Gronk may have been the reason. It may not have been Brady. And Kelsey, because it's just such a hard matchup for defenses to deal with. So, yeah, I think now I'm not a Jet fan, but I think if I am a Jet fan, a playoff win every year should be considered success. And then the thing is, if you don't win the Super Bowl, then you have this issue of you didn't win the Super Bowl and then the team's in a bad situation. And that's where you might go back and change your definition of success.
That's why I'm saying in this case, if they at least make an appearance, for the first time in 55 years, I guess it is now, you can erase some of that stigma at least. You won't get a win, but you'll get a trip back to the big dance for the first time, in over half a century. That to me, I think is the lowest point to make this successful, because they went to 2 AFC championship games back in 2010, 11, whatever it was.
With the franchise.
Yeah. And you have to basically be able to surpass that mark with this kind of a deal. I don't know if the team can. I mean, listen, they're loading up. They're hardcore playing to win now. Miko Hartman, they added Greg Zuerlein, the kicker. Right. Holy crap, where was he at least all this time? But, they added Alan Lazard. They are basically, this is not Woody Johnson's Jets. This is Aaron Rodgers' Jets, and Woody Johnson works for him. That's my take.
So that might be fair. And I would say that if they get to Super Bowl and lose, then he doesn't have to make the playoffs again. Like, it's hard.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not. That's a different. There are a few levels of success. I would say the bare minimum is every year he's there, they make the playoffs. But I would say making it to the Super Bowl is better than winning a playoff every year he's there. Because if he's there for 3 years, then my mind's blown. I can see 2. Let me say 4. I can even see 3. But 4 years, I don't know how his brain works. And I've been watching and listening to people who claim to know him just to try to get under the hood on that man. Like Brady was easy. Brady wanted to win. Peyton Manning was a little different. Peyton Manning wanted to win, but Peyton Manning also wanted to be personally excellent in a way that I think is different than Brady was. Brady wanted to win, and I think if it meant for Tom Brady that he had to throw 3 interceptions to win, I think he would have gotten thrown the 3 interceptions. Well, I think Peyton Manning, if they said, "Oh, we'll win this game if you throw 3 interceptions," he'd be like, "No, I'm going to get 500 yards and take the loss." Like, but not
But-
that you can throw 3 interceptions on purpose and win, but you're kind of see.
I know, yeah. The win for the team is better than your overall stats.
Right.
Now,
And not that Brady had to have good stats. I think he felt the best way he could be good was to be good himself.
By the way, we haven't covered this, but Anthony Richardson went to the Colts.
Yeah, I was hoping we could avoid that.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, I guess, is the biggest wild card in this draft. I saw they were putting up the comp to McNabb. And as a McNabb watcher his entire career, McNabb had some, I guess it's a fair comp because he had some moments of horrific inaccuracy at times, and then magic at other times. I think the Colts have been struggling with veteran quarterbacks. They decide to try a young guy. And the good news for Anthony Richardson is right now, at least for a season, he can just hand the ball off.
Sure.
And kind of learn to play. Because unlike the other quarterbacks, like there's nobody there to play. Like, you were talking about Bryce Young. He can, you can kind of sit him for 6 to 8 games if you want, whole season even. I don't know that there's somebody there for Anthony Richardson to sit behind and learn from. So I guess they liked him more than what they saw in Will Levis. I think this is one of those situations where this is a good example of your wash, rinse, and repeat. This guy's going to bring a lot of excitement. Guy's got monster upside. And if he fails in 3 or 4 years, you pick another quarterback and sell him a bunch of jerseys.
Yep.
So I think he's the classic wash, rinse, and repeat. Not that any of these teams really want that, but I think that's sometimes
that's the fallback.
Yeah, sometimes it's better getting that than, with all due respect, to Daniel Jones, who you're like, okay, I got to extend the contract, but I'm still worried. Did I extend the contract correctly? Like, there's that. I mean, I know that you've talked about, like, is he the right guy to give that? What at the time was $45 million contract. Was he the right guy? I think he was. I think the Giants were right to do it. But you would prefer to have a guy like Hurts, who you knew, we're going to have to overpay because he's the right guy, right? Like,
yes. I would have. I mean, Hurts versus Daniel Jones. There's no competition there,
right?
Right. I mean, the reality is, my take, and I think you would agree with me, and you'd be happy to agree with me on this, is that it's Eagles and then everybody else fighting for second.
At this point, last year I went in going, I don't know why us Eagle fans are so happy. I think the best quarterback in the division is still Dak, and this year I do not think the best quarterback in the division is Dak.
No, that team is good. The Giants, I think, right now, second place is expected. I think third place is not the way they want to go with it. I mean, you got to improve over last season. Last season you went 9-7-1, which, again, somehow managed to make me right. 7 losses gets you into a playoff spot. Second year in a row, 9-7-1 did it for a team. So you got to go better than that. You got to go 11-6. You have to show that improvement. However, in this case here, you're playing against a tougher schedule because you landed a higher seed. So
there's three games that are scheduled. There's only 3 games that are based on schedule.
There's 6 games. Yeah, there's 6 games that are locked in.
Right. So, but you do get the joy of we have the AFC East, so that's not fun.
That entire division, every single team could be over 500 this year.
Yeah. So the Giants, and I think if you're asking me today, before the draft is over, Giants or Cowboys,
Giants.
I got a coin here. That's what I got. I got a coin here. I think a lot will depend on whether Saquon signs. Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois.
Okay.
I don't know. This might be that guy that we go, who?
I think it's a good move.
Okay, he's not.
They had to. That defense was brutal last year.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not saying they should have gotten an offensive player, but there's Jalen Carter's still there. I know people were a little down on him because of the car incident, but Tyrese Wilson's an edge rusher. Christian Gonzalez might have been a better cornerback. Brian Branch, this feels like that. Maybe you went a little in the wrong direction. He's not somebody I hadn't totally heard of at all, but not a guy who was in like the top 10 or even the guy who was most talked about his position. I don't know what they were saying on TV, so I didn't hear, but not. not a guy I was expecting. Although cornerbacks are, they've become super important because you got to, you get a Sauce Gardner out of this deal, and you're like, okay, all right, now we can play 10 on 10. And I think 10 on 10 favors the defense over 11 on 11.
Usually does, yes.
Yes.
But Devin Witherspoon, I think it's a good deal there. I think they needed to do something like that. Yeah, see the Raiders. What do the Raiders need in this case? Let me look at my notes. Yeah, they got to go defense.
Yeah, I mean, this Jalen Carter's going to keep sitting here, and he's going to be the guy who's fallen. And sometimes these guys who fall, I can't remember the name of the guy who was on the Cowboys, but every time he was on the field, it was worth it. But he fell because he couldn't stay on the field because of drug issues, mostly weed, I believe, for whatever that's worth. But sometimes he's got, other times. The dude with the face mask, he's been in, I think, a Pro Bowler 3 or 4 years. Tony Lenzel. I mean, he's been well worth the pick, and he fell. So Jalen Carter obviously had the street racing incident. We'll see how that affects him. Obviously, it cost him at least one spot. I think this spot it cost him. I think Will Anderson may also have been able to pass him up because of it. Some team's going to get him and hope that, okay, he was a 21-year-old street racing. This is the result was horrific, but 21-year-old boys in fast cars is not new.
Well, we are in a Fast and the Furious era, and it is a statistical fact actually that people, when they watch Fast and the Furious movies, drive faster. I know, I'm guilty of it.
Well, I'm going to go in a different direction. When my father-in-law met my father for the first time, the conversations delved. All of a sudden, they're starting to talk their drag racing stories. All right. These are guys who were both born in the 1940s. All right. These are guys who were older than boomers. They were both greatest generation guys. And they delved into, all of a sudden, they're talking about drag racing stories. That is what 20-year-old boys can be guilty of, unfortunately. So,
or 50-year-old basically father-in-laws before you meet them.
Right. Yeah.
Well, my father-in-law used to drag race repeatedly and teach his daughter how to do it.
Okay, so. Right. So I mean, there you go. So I'm not. It's not something I particularly did, but I wasn't a car guy. But I had friends and obviously a father. So
can I just point out something really stupid? This is off topic a little bit, but when I was at the NYCFC the soccer training facility, when you go there, all the cars are pretty much the same. Toyota, Honda, you got a Ford, you got really these generic vehicles, maybe a trucker on occasion, like a Mercedes. But then there is one cobalt blue 2022 Corvette Stingray, pristine condition. And it belongs to one of the kids that they brought over this year. He's 22 years old. And this thing is $100,000 car surrounded by Toyotas, Hondas, and Fords and Volkswagen Bugs.
Do they make that kind of money?
No, they don't. But it's funny because the kid's from New Mexico and was playing in the Netherlands. When he brought over, he had the car sent from New Mexico with the plates. The New Mexico plates are still on the car. He had it mailed over here. So he has, it's the customized plates for his name, his number, basically when he was growing up. And Richie Ledesma's car is this beautiful Stingray. I mean, it is just gorgeous. And it's wow.
Hey, look, some people are car people. And there's just my next door neighbor, she's a car person. And when I say she's a car person, she's an older individual who does the New York to Florida, Florida to New York.
Okay.
And we know she's going down to Florida if she hasn't told us yet. Which usually she has, because there is a truck loading her cars up. And these are not sporty cars, but these are cars that you and I can't afford. So, yeah.
So she snowbirds and brings the cars with her.
Actually, I believe no. When she snowboards, she actually puts the cars in the truck. The truck drives them to her son's house. It's a car family, and he's got the the garage where they stay and somebody comes and turns them on and off and makes sure that they don't go bad. But
Yeah.
that's a different hobby than I have. And the Cardinals pick is in.
Yes.
And some of these players will have those habits, by the way. Some of them will love a fancy car. And some of these guys will make more money in 1 year than I'll see in a lifetime and still drive a Prius.
Yeah. By the way, the Lions basically traded the Cardinals. Lions trade the 6th pick and the 81st pick. The Cardinals actually sent over 12, 34, and 168.
Oh, okay. Did we get the details on the Houston deal?
Oh, yeah, the Houston Cardinals deal. Yeah, trying to find it. Okay, nope. Titans have been talks to go to 8. Okay, yeah. Titans acquire the 3rd pick in the draft from the Cardinals in exchange for the 12th pick, a 2nd round, and the 2024 first round pick. Oh, wow.
Wait. Who got that? Wait, go again. Houston?
Houston gave up the 12th pick, a 2nd round pick, and the first round pick of next year to move up 1 spot.
No, because they moved from 12 to 3.
Texans acquire the number 3 pick for the Cardinals in exchange for the 12th pick, 2nd round pick, and a 2024.
Yes, yeah, so 9 spots from 12 to 3.
Yeah, 9 spots. Yeah, right.
Okay. Paris Johnson, Ohio State, defensive tackle.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so the Cardinals traded back from 3 to 12, and then from 12 up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely got the guy they wanted the entire time, that offensive tackles. That's a great and so they got it first next year. And what did they have to give up to get this 6?
How to get the 6? Ah, shit, I saw that.
So it would obviously be the 12, I imagine.
Yeah, the 6th pick. The Lions get the 12th and 34th.
Okay.
So
they went back. Basically, they gave up a 2nd this year and got a 1st next year for the same guy they probably wanted at 3, and they're paying him 6th round pick money as opposed to. So that looks like, to me, that's an A move. I don't know if Paris Johnson was highly touted off.
Lions also get the 81st pick in the draft, so round 3.
Okay, so a couple late round picks this year.
Sure.
But they get a 1st round pick next year. Probably get the guy they absolutely positively wanted, a highly touted offensive tackle, and 3 spots later. I think that's probably a pretty good deal. Assuming that the offensive tackle works out.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a big man. Which now we're in. Do you take Will Levis territory? It's the first time we've said that.
That team needs a quarterback somewhere. They got to do something to compete with that division. It's a pass heavy division and a lot of fronts there.
So maybe you say Jimmy G can get it done if he has a better defense and you get the pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
So that is possible. They may get the pass rusher, but this is look. These guys get it wrong about the quarterback all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, this is the guy nobody thinks is going to be good in Will Levis. This is the guy who's falling, not like a rock. I don't think we've seen any team pass on him that we thought would take him. It's more like they just picked somebody else instead. It's not like they didn't even take the quarterback, but still, he might be a deal soon. And then you start to get later, you're also looking at Hendon Hooker might be available if you're willing to go that way. And then there's the old man, probably a day 3 pick out of Georgia.
So Brandon said he's running a little bit behind too. So
I see that. You're holding up well.
I'm doing okay. Like I said, it's been a bit of a long day, but I'm managing it. So, also, here's the funny thing: the Devils are currently leading 3-0, so I may have just jinxed the team. But I'm deliberately not watching any games because the 2 games I watched, they got killed. The 2.5 games that I have not watched, they won those 2, and they're winning well on this one.
So I hear you. I get that. I understand. Isn't that the worst when your team wins without you watching, and so you have to stop watching?
It's weird, but I'm kind of like happy in a way because it's like we're still getting the results that I'm looking for. I'm just not part of the process itself. I'll see what happens. Here's the thing: Saturday I might, depending, watch it, but yeah, Brandon's gonna be pissed about that one too.
So. Maybe he's watching. Maybe he's watching. He's hanging on. That's why.
No, I think he's working. He said he just sent a message. He's going to be on about 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. Should be working. I need my boxes.
But what I'll do also is I'm going to keep an eye on the background. So I'm going to stay on the stream as much as I can do.
Gotcha.
But yeah, if anything catches fire, at least I should be able to watch it.
Well, I don't know if anything's going to catch fire here, but you never know what could happen in Las Vegas.
That is true. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Unless it's on national TV.
Yes.
Who's this? There, see the Christian Gonzalez. That's the cornerback whose name I was hearing about. Not
Christian. Yeah.
Not definitely.
You have to assume that probably Russell Wilson will have a rebound year. And then obviously knowing what Patrick Mahomes can do and also the LA Chargers, you have to figure that they need somebody who can be able to stop the pass somewhat for for those 6 games, at least bare minimum 4. If the Broncos suck again, still got 1 quarter of the season. And I have pickups from Water. Good job, mate.
Okay. I suck in for 10 seconds.
I got a better one. No joke, this actually works.
Oh, because they've actually figured out scientifically the way to stop hiccups.
Well, if you put the fingers on, flip the fingers like this, and just very gently touch it, it actually stops the hiccups. It's the weirdest damn thing.
Okay.
I learned it from an episode of Game Grumps. I tried it once. I was like, holy shit, this works.
Some of the things that work, are you just convinced they work? But yes, they've actually scientifically
I've been doing that for like a year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it works for you, then do it.
I even sold my wife on it. She was skeptical as crap. I was like, and that woman is as logical as a human being can get.
So Open's pick is in. It looked like it was the cornerback, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, in this case, be curious. Like I said, if they don't go defense, it's a bad call.
Unless they think it's Will Levis, which, I mean, again, we know my quarterback radar is not what it should be. Except nobody's is. Nobody has a good quarterback radar. That is for sure. If they did, then Achilles Smith wouldn't have been picked 3rd.
And if they did, basically, they wouldn't be touting out Tom Brady going so deep in the draft.
Right.
As a way to give hope to every other quarterback drafted like 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Right. Or Russell Wilson was a 4th-round pick. And look, you may not think Tony Romo was a great quarterback, but he was a Pro Bowler. He was undrafted, as was Hall of Famer and deservedly so Kurt Warner, undrafted. So it is weird, that quarterback. Look at Brock Purdy. I don't know.
For every one story you see like that, there's 20, 30, 50 that aren't.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes. I think what's a better thing to do, though, if you look at it, is I've done this. And by the way, the NFL is actually pretty good. The top quarterback in the class versus was he the first quarterback taken in the class. And the NFL is about 60%. 66, yes. But they didn't mess up. They didn't mess up on Manning and Leaf, did they? You know what I mean? Like, they got that one right. Even Pennington was like the best quarterback in that class when all is said and done. He was the first.
They take Tyree Wilson, defensive end from Texas.
Okay, let's get some more. Let's get some pressure. He was Definitely someone's going to be able to rush the pass.
That's like I said, you have to do that with that division.
Yep. If you can't beat them with your quarterback, then get their quarterback on the ground.
Yeah, and you get their quarterback on the ground, gives your offense more time.
Yep. And that's what has worked for Garoppolo. He's been in the playoffs with that philosophy for several years now.
Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have to travel that far. San Fran to Vegas isn't that brutal.
No. And that's and that's if you move. Like if you're a starting quarterback, even a journeyman starting quarterback, if you will, you get enough money to rent an apartment. In addition to keeping your house.
Yeah, they usually pull off something like that relatively easy.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can do with $7 million. Yeah. I think he's probably getting closer to 15. I don't know.
Yeah, it's 9.5 hours one way to the other, which California and Nevada travel time isn't that bad.
Or your private jet or a regular jet.
Well, the problem is you got to head way south and come back up again because there's no real straight runs that way.
Yeah.
The flight's an hour and a half.
Throw in your 2 hours early, so 3.5 hours.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure he can probably get the that fast lane.
Yeah, he's TSA pre-checked, and he's flying an hour and a half flight. I don't know that he's probably not flying first class because I tell you what, an hour. It's not. It's actually not worth it.
Well, it's funny when Phillip Rivers, when he was with the Chargers, when they moved to LA, he actually rented this colossal van that would be driven by someone else, and he would just use that 3 hours each way just to study film.
Right.
So he didn't take the flight. His family was down there. He would leave on whatever day it was, and he would just pay someone to drive him up in this Winnebago, and he would just study.
Okay. Yeah. That's 3 hours. I mean, that's different than.
And then left his wife home with all 18 kids because that dude's got more kids than I got fingers.
I don't think he does. I think it's actually 9.
Is it 9? Okay.
But
do you count thumbs as fingers?
Yes.
Okay.
I count thumbs as fingers.
10
fingers and toes. No one's ever said 10 toes and 8 fingers. Yeah. Well, Will Levis, I don't know where you're going to go unless something trades up for you. Maybe 11 to the Titans.
The Falcon pick is in.
Okay. They're not picking Will Levis, I don't think. I think they're going to keep going with Ritter. It'll be interesting. Soon we're going to start seeing some of these wide receivers come off.
Yeah, you're right. By the way, he does have 9 kids. Yeah, 7 daughters and 2 boys.
Okay.
The more you know. Random.
Maybe we start seeing Zay Flowers.
Could be.
JSN start coming off. Not a tight end, not with Pitts.
Still taking a sweet time to make that announcement, though.
Yeah, or maybe now Jalen Carter's really fallen. Really fallen.
All right, so.
All right. Well, pick is in. So we'll probably make it to about we're at pick 8 now. We'll probably make it to about pick 15 before I have to call it a night.
Yeah, which actually would get you through the Jets at least.
Yeah.
So, Rumors have it that the Giants and the Chiefs are heavy players for Quentin Johnson. Kansas City may have to trade up to get him. That would actually go really well for the Giants. Another offensive threat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure day 3 they're going to grab a running back, and that's all the worse for Barkley if they do.
You know what? We've talked about this ad nauseum, and I think you were right about it. You take Jones, you leave Barkley, because Barkley got through last season without injuries, but there was a period across 3 years where he missed more games than he played.
Yeah, and he's he was replaceable at Penn State by Sanders, and he'll be replaceable in the NFL.
Yeah, even more so.
He was a good running back, and it's a shame that he's in a position that doesn't get paid anymore. Ezekiel Elliott's probably the last running back who's really going to get paid.
Yeah, this is a quarterback pay league now.
Yep.
Oh boy, is it ever.
And even the Ezekiel Elliott getting paid, even at that time, was like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And it cost the Cowboys Amari Cooper. If they not paid Ezekiel Elliott, they could have kept Cooper. And last year they would have had Cooper, not Elliott. And look, there was Pollard playing quite well for them. So I think the Cowboys are really showed what that was like. And then the Jets, they paid Le'Veon Bell after the Steelers winning.
LaDainian Tomlinson before that.
Yeah, did the Jets end up taking? Well, Tomlinson was the last running back to be great for years. For years, you knew he was going to be great, but it's over now. That's just not how they're playing football anymore.
No, like I said, it's so much more just lather, rinse, repeat.
Yep.
Burn him out, kick him out, grab a new one.
All right, here we go. The Atlantis got musicians on stage for their song, for their pick. All right, here's this. Must be coming to a commercial. They're really drawing out this pick.
Well, right now on Twitter, they got Skycam.
Skycam?
Yeah, that's this little drone cam thing going on. Yeah. Showing pictures, showing Atlanta faithful waiting it out. Let's see. Take the top running back in the draft. Number 8, selecting Texas Bijan Robinson.
Is that a prediction or is that?
No, it's confirmed.
Oh, Bijan Robinson. Okay.
I updated my system on how I'm doing things.
Okay. So, well, that's, I think, a unfortunate situation. All right. Well, I mean, everybody in fantasy is a little disappointed. I'm going to tell you why, because they never use their good players.
That is true.
But he still will be the 101 off the board in both Dynasty Flex, Super Flex, and in all Dynasty leagues, Super Flex and otherwise, he will still be the 101.
But now we have the Bears, who were the number 1 pick initially.
Yes. Who've done great things now to be at number 9 with, I think, some nice wide receivers. All the best wide receivers still on the board. As is Jalen Carter. And this is the Bears. And this is defense. Oh, nice of you to join us.
I know. Stream Punk just drafted me, so I finally made my appearance here.
Yeah.
We're the 8th pick in the draft. So
I have the 8. So the Falcons, they took Bijan Robinson.
You saw that already, yeah.
Yes.
So now it's the Bears.
The Bears.
Bears.
So there's two guys who I've been talking about dropping. One is Jalen Carter because of his racing incident. And then the other one is Will Evans because, well, not anyone needs a quarterback. So that's what I've been talking about while you've been, I know, working for the man.
So, by the way, your camera's reversed. So right now you're a fan of the ST3Ls, Stells.
No, I believe that's the ZT3.
you may have an option for the settings down below.
L's.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that's better.
J.
I figured you'd want to display that Jets member hat and jersey proudly.
I mean,
this is actually my Keyshawn.
Okay, he's
wow. Little throwback to a little first round.
Throwback to give him the damn ball.
Yeah. So. I usually don't wear this one too much.
Now you break it out for the right reasons, though.
Yeah, right.
So how you feeling as a Jets fan right now? You feeling all right?
The fact that I am sitting here and saying strongly that my team doesn't need a quarterback. Wow, this is uncharted waters for me. This is great.
Now let me ask you. Go ahead first.
No, even in this long kind of rumored process from when we really thought this was kind of the Jets were the only possibility, and then through the Pat McAfee show and the whole nine, obviously full confidence is one thing, and then for it to really come to fruition and to see him walk through Jets facility wearing Jets apparel, sitting in front of a Jets, a screen and everything. It's goddamn
surreal.
I can't believe it. I got to be pinched.
Now let me ask you a question. Obie and I are on different sides of the fence on this one. With this deal and with the amount of money that's being involved and everything, what is the bare minimum as a Jets fan you would consider this deal to be a success?
First and foremost, not even, I would say playoff appearance, but not even just kind of like stumbling into the playoffs. I mean, going into the playoffs strong without many questions, if at all. I really believe that with this roster, with the excitement and energy that we've been feeling this week, if that were to sustain throughout the course of an 18-week season and then into the playoffs, I am really strongly of the mindset that they can win. I've told you guys at least 11 games. My number is 12. They go 12-5. And we had talked before a couple of weeks ago on our show, even before this really was actually going to happen. We were talking about the Rodgers and my crazy pick, thinking that they will beat Kansas City in the AFC Championship and at least get to the Super Bowl this year. And then we'll talk.
Yeah.
I'll give it AFC Championship game. I don't think there is a reason why, like with all my previous reasons, engagement, excitement, chemistry, all that, the whole nine, I believe that that is a fair evaluation.
So this is great. So we get two non-fans, and we had a decent gap. I said that this will be a success.
Wait, Eagles trade up to the 9.
Yeah, they only trade up one spot, so they trade up one spot with the Bears. So they must have somebody they wanted, and they're not letting them get away from them. What did they trade? The 10th pick and a 4th. That's I'm fine with that, especially since they're gonna have to watch the number of players they get with their salary cap. But I thought that if every year he was there, they made it to the playoffs and won one playoff game, it would be a success. You're asking for more playoff games. Scott said they had to get to the Super Bowl. You're saying, nah, just a championship game. So you're right in the middle of us as the actual fan. Yeah. I think we guessed pretty well, Scott. We averaged it out right.
We really did. I think, like I said, I think we're looking at it from a more logical standpoint. Me, definitely from the economic standpoint. But I saw it from the perspective that if they got back to a Super Bowl, forget if they win. Let's say they lose. You get back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 55 years. You have removed that stigma. And I think that, to me, is the win right there. Even if it takes 2 years, it's fine. That removing that stigma and just getting back to the dance, to me, is what's going to be required here. Your team made it.
Did Tom Brady again? I hate using that equivalent, but did Tom Brady not take a playoff list team and immediately, immediately won? Immediately,
and their record was 11-5 and a wild card also.
I'm happy.
Who'd they select?
The Jalen Carter.
Yeah, okay.
Shore up that defensive front line after losing a few guys to free agency. Some guys are getting old. I did not think Paris Johnson was going to be there. I know there were some fans who wanted Bijan Robinson. I'm happy it's not Bijan Robinson. I'm much happier with
Jason
Trenches.
Kelsey is taking shots with fans in the.
Nice.
Jason Kelsey or Travis?
No,
Jason. Jason, good. Is he with his head shaved? Is his head still shaved?
No, he's got the hair back.
Okay. He had to shave his head because he lost the bet to his brother.
I'm going to check out at this point. I'm going to keep myself in the background in case anything explodes or catches on fire. So if you need to PM me or anything like that, you can go ahead and do it. I'm going to let you guys roll for a bit.
Cool.
Roll for as long as you want, and just let me know. So, all right, gentlemen, have a good night. Thank you. Be good.
All right.
Yeah, I like the Jalen Carter pick for them. Yeah, I mean that's your pick.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I was saying this is a guy who did something that isn't legal, but and ended up with a horrific response and result. But as I said to Scott, when my father-in-law met my father, they were talking, and before long, their conversation delved into when they were in their 20s that they were both racing cars. And it's unfortunate. It's not something you should do. It's not something I condone. That's not what I was saying. Someone heard that earlier. But it's also something 20-year-old men do. And it's stupid, and bad things really happened here while he was involved in it. But by all intents, I mean, he was doing it sober. It's just for him to fall this far when he is was in some people's minds the number one graded guy. I think the Eagles did great. The Eagles should have the type of clubhouse to make sure that was a one-off incident for him.
Yes, I agree.
And Jalen Hurts is that guy. And Jalen Hurts is going to bring this guy in. They'd have Carter and Davis from back to back from Georgia's defensive tackles, and I think if there's anything that happens for the Eagles that went wrong in Super Bowls, all of a sudden their defensive line couldn't get the job done after having getting it done all season. So I think this is a fabulous pick. I'm excited. I'm happy. Now to the other side of the line is where I'm looking.
Yeah, there's very few locker rooms that I would trust to immediately be able to kind of mentor that type of a situation, or really kind of keep an extra eye out. I mean, just, Philly is one of those teams top to bottom with especially how they're currently constructed, where they're all kind of in one mindset of how to run the organization, what they want from players, and not just players, coaching staff as well, from anybody in that building. And I think I don't think he'll be much of an issue, if at all. I think he'll come in, do what he needs to do, and actually be a pretty productive player pretty quickly for your Eagles.
Yeah, and I think this is the kind of, I mean, listen, being the number 9 pick in the NFL draft, you're not going to be poor, but you also weren't the top 5 pick, and there's a difference in finances. That's a lesson more than anything else. What can go wrong? And I also think it was the right move to trade here, because I think that's who the Bears would have taken. When I looked at it instantly, I said, "Oh, who are the Bears going to take at number 9? Oh, Jalen Carter's available, right into the monsters of the midway he fits." So now the Bears are going to have to go. Probably, I think this is where JSN comes in, or another, maybe Zay Flowers, if that's who they like at wide receiver. But they have faith in their quarterback now, obviously, by trading this far back. Get him some weapons, I guess. That's what I'm thinking if you're the Bears, and save a few cents by getting it at 10 and getting the guy in the 4th. Makes sense. Oh, they're showing the highlights now. This guy is just a motor running defensive tackle. If this guy, turns into Aaron Donald, that's just going to be oof.
Well, I mean, that's a lot to ask.
No, you're right. A man can bet. A man can wish, right? A man can wish. I said the same thing about Davis last year. If this guy could turn into Aaron Donald, he did not. So, but he was an NFL football player. Works into the line.
But right there, that's a former teammate combination in Georgia.
Yeah,
with Davis. So you know what? I think I think that's a perfect situation for Carter to kind of just slip right into.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, this is a guy who, some of these highlights have Davis on them. This is they played next to each other a year ago, and so they'll get to do that in here. Get some defensive ends. Oh, and Chicago moved back one spot because they knew exactly who they were going to take. They didn't drag it out. That was something I know you commented on earlier, and we were too. Like that first pick does not.
If there's any pick, it's got to be that first pick. Should be 2-3 minutes tops.
Yep.
Just in case there's some any type of last minute team wants to give you 10 total picks for the whatever. Fine.
Right.
But then after that, anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah,
I think 10 minutes is crazy.
Okay.
Let's see who the Bears are taking. Now, I'm watching it like in whatever the stream that I am, it's on YouTube TV. I know that's behind the actual cable.
Okay. I got Darnell Wright, offensive tackle from Tennessee, coming through. I have two things going on. I have a visual screen from that, where I can see what the experts are saying, and then I have a draft board on NFL.com running. And the NFL.com draft board is usually about 10 seconds ahead of what I'm getting from cable. But yeah, we are doing good here. Darnell White, offensive tackle. I think that's a good choice.
I think it's a smart choice. They obviously are all invested in on the fields, and you got to build a line, especially with a quarterback that is mobile like him, young. It's just obviously the natural wanting to protect a quarterback. Obviously we usually see we think Bears, we think defense.
Yeah.
But obviously that's only anywhere from half to a third of the game. So I think it's a smart move. I think Chicago might be. They had some games last year. I mean, they weren't a great team, but they had some moments where they were great. I think it was the Monday night the game against the Patriots where Fields put on pretty much a show in New England. So I think it's things can happen in Chicago with some of the right pieces coming in there, and I think that's a start.
I agree. I not 100%. So a couple of years ago when it's a different quality wide receiver, but when Chase was selected by Cincinnati, I really thought they missed the boat and should have gotten Play. Play has been great, but Chase has been fantastic, and they figured out their offensive line situation. So I was wrong there. So I'm a little bit like, well, maybe this is when you reach for that wide receiver. But I'm not sure they're talking about Chase quality level wide receiver either. So you get the offensive lineman, you protect this young talent. You hope that you end up with an OSU quarterback that's successful because he's not on his back getting crushed. And you move on from there. They hope this is the guy. And I think it's not the wrong pick. I just don't know if you're going to look back and go, wow, we should have gotten him a weapon.
Mm-hmm. Tennessee seems to have their pick in, so we'll see who that's going to be.
Yeah, that was quick.
Yeah, and then
this is a team that I think needs offensive weapons for sure after having got rid of A.J. Brown.
The idea to bail on Malik Willis. Now, I'm no Malik Willis fan by any stretch, but just the idea to bail on a kid when he really only played, 4 games?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Get him some other.
But you hear all these reports that they're going to go quarterback, and then I don't get what the plan is there. There's no kind of like end game with or motive with Tennessee. They just kind of that's why they're Tennessee.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were good for a few years running the ball when no one else could be good running the ball.
Yeah, but that was when Derrick Henry was a freight train.
Right, and that slowed down because that's what happens to running backs. So, yeah, I don't know if they're going to give up on Malik Willis, get Malik Willis some protection, get Malik Willis some weapons, or is there some defense that they're thinking that, hey, there's still a few defensive guys out there, a lot of cornerbacks left that they can make a difference. There's also some high-quality tight ends available for them to grab, so I'm not positive what they're going to do here.
Yeah, no, I still think they are solid on the line for at least another season. Tennessee usually has had a more than decent to very good offensive line. I would address another area of need in this first round, especially. I'm seeing who's left here. Yeah, I might go with any of these. Honestly, any of these defensive ends.
Right, these edge
rushers. Or the lineman from Clemson, Breesy.
Keon White is still left as an edge rusher. But we are starting to get to that point in the draft where the names we all know, other than the quarterback, Levis, are going. Some of these wide receivers are nice. I don't think you're going to see Gribbs go in the first round, except maybe if the Eagles at 30 are deciding to stretch. But I love what they did. I think they're going to continue to build inside out.
This is just overall one of just the unsexiest drafts. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody that's.
I think, yes, the best player in this draft is probably Bijan Robinson, but he's a running back. And I think we've all been broken into, he's a running back. The quarterbacks, there's a lot of them, but none of them make you go, oh, yeah.
I'm not.
That's the guy.
On any of them, I don't think are all too.
They all felt like they were
much
being
to write home about.
Right. They all felt like they were being pushed on us by, the powers that be, that these quarterbacks are good. And then you'd be like, are they? Are they? Like, the guy's tiny. The best quarterback.
Well, apparently, the kid, Richardson from Florida, had 2 or 3 days of impressing scouts, and Jim Irsay takes him 4th overall.
And nothing he did to impress the scouts was unpredicted. Like, they were like, well, wait till you see his numbers at the combine. They're going to be off the charts. Yeah, we know he's a phenomenal athlete, but have you seen what he does when he throws the ball? So, yeah. Nothing that anybody said maybe, but hey, I could turn out that 2 of these guys are good. I don't know.
Maybe.
But pick is in here. By the way, I got myself, I'm going to be passing out probably around 10 o'clock, no matter how hard I try. So the goal is to get to your Jets and get through half the first round.
Yeah, that's fine by me. We'll have Monday and we'll do a recap.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely. Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle. So I guess they're not bailing on Malik Willis, and we know.
Good.
What's actually going to be interesting is in 13 you got Green Bay, who now has no quarterback. Are they going to grab Levis? This guy Levis is probably falling to 16, unless maybe 16 for the Washington football team. They do not have a quarterback.
Well, they have who is it? Sam Howell or somebody. Is Heineke?
Yeah, Howell. Thurston Howell.
Is Heineke still on the?
No, Thurston Howell the third. That rich man out of Gilligan's Island.
They're showing Peter. They do these, this kind of, what is it, like a
highlight reel?
Not even highlight reel, and then they give you like kind of like a little bio. So his grandfather Bob played offensive tackle on Lombardi's 5 championship Packers teams.
Okay.
So we got some. There we go. They're showing him right now. Some football lineage in his blood.
Okay.
I expect him to be good.
5. My father has 5 NFL championships. My grandfather has 5 NFL championships. He grew up with those stories, and that's why he played football. But he was at Northwestern, so he wasn't.
Yeah, but he's old. So what? Big Ten lineman.
Big Ten lineman.
I got faith in those. Unlike Ohio State quarterbacks.
They have not proven. They have not done it yet.
Not one quarterback. No. Not one.
Well, Fields is trying.
He is trying his damnedest.
LSU quarterbacks, on the other hand, doing well.
Plus, you can't count a Joe Burrow who transferred out. You got to have been mainly known as Ohio State and drafted out of Ohio State.
I do not consider Joe Burrow a Ohio State quarterback.
Right.
Nor do I consider Jalen Hurts an Alabama quarterback. Right. Even though he won a championship there and then was there another year before going to Oklahoma. That's the school he was drafted out of.
Alabama having Tua, Hurts, and Mac Jones all at the same time. That's crazy.
Yep. And Bryce Young coming up behind him.
Ooh. Oh, the Lions.
That hurts. Now that hurts the fantasy world because that goes right at Swift. They have given up on Swift. I cannot believe Jameer. This reminds me of when they took 3 wide receivers in a row. I mean, this is nuts. This is nuts. A second running back in the top 15. 1990 called and wants their draft back. What? I'm speechless.
I don't know. We see this all the time where you can find backs virtually any round and usually not the first round. Especially with you have another pick or you had that first pick. You probably could have gone somewhere else. You need a lot of other. You need defense. Like your offense is fine. You need defense.
They had a running back in Swift who was pretty good last year. Yeah, you didn't let him get in the end zone. You gave all those touches to Williams, but I don't even know he's best available player. I just don't get it. I am in shock. I'm totally okay. They're excited. Somebody wrote Jahmyr Gibbs no matter what on a green Post-it note, and they got it, I guess. Hey, look. As touted as Bijan Robinson was, there's every chance that Jahmyr Gibbs will be better than him. I get that. But he's in a system that has another running back there already. You have a wide receiver who's not going to be around because he was playing with his.
Oh, great. The Jonas Brothers are coming up. I mean, that's fine, but like, what are they going to do? Perform in the middle of a draft?
Somebody else did earlier. I saw they had somebody singing music.
Come on.
So, yeah, but the Jonas Brothers are good because we can talk about them because I got nothing on Jahmyr Gibbs.
Nobody does because I was expecting him to be drafted so early.
They went to commercial on the NFL Network or ESPN. Like, no, Jahmyr Gibbs. We're gonna just rank on Campbell.
Well, hopefully, they play after the Jets pick.
Yeah, we got 3 more picks for the Jets, and
right.
Green Bay's already in, so I might make it even past the Jets. Might make it to Levis going to 16 to the Washington football team.
Yeah, maybe.
I might be able to stay in the green room as long as Levis.
Let's see. Yeah, I'd like to see them take a lineman, the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need any more of the offense. Like the Jets don't need the wide receivers. I'm getting that. There's, I think the Jets are having some defensive tackle fall down to them in a way that they should probably take advantage of.
So like take like a Nolan Smith or a Breesy.
Yeah, I think that because Keon White's another option. Just there's no such thing as too many defensive linemen. Because if you have two that are both good, if you have 5 great defensive linemen, that means you get to rotate them, which means they're healthier long, right? Whatever it is. Then you just get to keep that pass rush coming and coming and coming. There might be tight end, but I'll tell you honestly, in all the years that Aaron Rodgers has played, he has never turned any tight end into a stud. Now, maybe he's not had it. Maybe it's the guys he's had, but maybe it's how he chooses to pass.
The only he liked Driver was a tight end. Donald Driver was he a tight end?
No. He had a couple of guys who had like
who was in that core.
He had a couple of tight ends.
He's had Mercedes Lewis for the longest time, but he gets a couple red zone TDs here and there.
Last year they had a guy who got hurt, and for the last 2 years,
they had Tanyan.
Tanyan was one of the better guys, and he had another guy who had a Ferguson, maybe it was, who had a Jurgensen, maybe, who had 2 good years, but never a stellar tight end. Never a guy.
That other Amari Rogers, was he a tight end?
He may have been,
or was he like a Pitts, or he's kind of like these wide receiver hybrid.
Even if he was not. They had nobody that was called a tight end that really that stood out. That being the point. From a fantasy perspective, it was always like, why does Green Bay never have a tight end? And that might be the way I'm just looking at it.
But I think having Conklin and Uzama.
I mean, he will use them. They just have never been like, Lucas Van Ness, nice edge rusher out of Iowa, goes over to Green Bay, which they get to pick without your boy being angry that he's not getting weapons. Probably still a good pick. Jordan, and what we know now is just officially Jordan Love's team. Jordan Love is the quarterback in Green Bay.
Yeah, so I think you stock up on defensive end. The thing is, if you're not gonna have necessarily a quarterback, you better get to the quarterback.
That's it. And we've said that. We said that in Oakland too, right? You either get to the quarterback or have a quarterback. And if you don't think Will Levis is the guy, or you think your guy is better than Will Levis, get someone to get to the quarterback. And I'll be honest, I'd rather race the pick on an edge rusher because probably he can at least play defensive tackle in a non-rushing situation. I could probably move him inside and get 3 years out of him if he doesn't turn out to be a decent edge rusher, or let him play an outside linebacker. There's different things that these guys can do, which can make him valuable. Whereas if it's a quarterback and he fails at quarterback, there's not another spot. You can't special team him. You can't be like, just run down that field really hard and tackle somebody. At least you get a special teams player if you miss somewhere here.
No, we have Darth Belichick on the clock, and the New England Imperials.
Yeah, I can't believe these wide receivers aren't coming off, and 2 running backs went.
If I'm the Patriots, I should draft a wide receiver.
Yeah, they are the team. They have. I mean, Mac Jones stinks, but who's he throwing to?
Yeah, I mean, we say what you want. I trust Belichick to at least put a formidable defense out there. We know he could always put some type of an offensive line together. running backs were always these kind of pass catchers out of the backfield. And I think you really need to go receiver.
He traded with the Steelers.
Wow. All right. So F. Mac Jones, he said.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. So Pittsburgh. I'm the Steelers. What do I need? A linebacker?
Got Watt. You got Watt.
Yeah, but they use him as a defensive lineman to get after the quarterback. You need someone to step back.
Yeah. They need somebody else off the edge. You're probably right. So
plus you expect Watt to come back.
And you want to get him.
He got hurt the very first game? It was like the first quarter.
Yeah. So
maybe he should be back on time.
And you did jump ahead of Jets, so you knew was getting an edge rusher. So maybe Broderick Jones. I don't know. A lot of handshaking going on in this.
Or do they draft an offensive lineman to protect Pickett?
Or get him a weapon.
We know they are the best. Well, if there's any team that's the best at drafting receivers, it's them.
Yeah.
Steelers pick is in.
And then your New York Jets go. The New York Jets are on the clock. The Aaron Rodgers led New York Jets are on the clock.
And God damn it, I have to say it again. We don't need a quarterback.
So Will Levis.
Imagine the Steelers took Levis. That would be absolute pandemonium.
No, unless the Jets make another move. I mean, I've been looking at 16 for Levis since you've been on the show, since you've come on. So, I mean, I'm actually I told you I'm leaving after Jets. Now I'm leaving after the Washington football team.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington took him.
Yeah.
I think the Jets should take either definitively Nolan Smith or Broderick Jones. Any of those Georgia guys.
Just take someone from Georgia. It's always the same.
If they just want a championship, take them.
There's probably someone on Alabama who we don't realize is good.
Problem, yeah.
I think part of what the Jets do depends on what the Broderick Jones offensive tackle for Georgia. So that definitely affects the Jets.
All right then. So, to hell with what I said. So now, they read my mind.
This is what Belichick did. He goes, "Who wants the same guy as the Jets? Hey, Pittsburgh, you want the same guy as the Jets? Why don't you move up here, take them, and I'll still get who I want at 17."
Bill Belichick.
Well, there's some nice cornerbacks you can maybe pair with Sauce.
No, I don't think you take a corner. You can't. There's no way. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think you do. I think you pair someone up. Imagine if you get two all-world cornerbacks, two guys you can put on an island, and then play 9-on-9 on defense. Two all-world cornerbacks. I don't think there's another all-world cornerback in there, but if you had two.
So then who are you taking? Either Gonzalez or Porter?
I think I heard a lot of good stuff about Gonzalez. If you can get, I'm thinking you got Gardner and Gonzalez just shutting people down Then what do you do? I don't care who your quarterback is. Then the only team you worry about is Kansas City because that's the one team that that has the tight end that you can't cover with your quarterbacks.
I mean,
And, you know,
JD coming in hot.
Is he?
Yeah, he said he is.
Oh, he must have. You know, because if you got two cornerbacks, literally, you can shut down every team. But like, who? I don't care how good Allen is. Josh Allen, who's he throwing to? Now you got Josh Allen running. You got a defense that can catch him.
Well, I believe that the Bills have way more problems than a lot of people seem to think. I am not trusting. Besides my hatred for them, I don't know. There is something that is, I think, going to fall apart this season.
There's something maybe amiss.
I believe there is something bad is a brewing. So.
Quarterback comparison on the clock. The Jets are taking their time. Obviously they're taking their time in a way that really suggested they wanted Broderick Jones. They're down to half the time's off the clock. No trade has been made. They're trying to move this pick. I think they had Broderick Jones no matter what written down on their paper.
I agree. I agree.
They probably would have taken Luca Van Ness at 13 had they still had 13. So,
yeah, linebacker wouldn't have been terrible.
2 seconds left on that clock.
Good draft evening, everybody.
We're moving.
JD.
Hello, JD. Your Jets are on the clock. 5 minutes to go.
We are on the clock, and we are in rare form here tonight.
Yes, sir.
It sounds that way. You brought us a party.
Hey, we don't need a quarterback. How about that?
We don't need a quarterback. We do need a lineman. But I'm here in Sammy D's.
What's up?
What's up?
We have King Rob and the Jesters.
Keep fighting the good fight, baby.
King Rob and the Jesters.
Wow, look
We
at you.
took shots every time there's been a trade so far tonight.
And we're hoping for one more.
You're hoping for one more.
Right now.
The offensive tackle that we want, the consensus wanted, was off the board with
Broderick Jones.
Broderick Jones was the one we wanted.
Yes.
So now, trade down, get a few more picks.
Or get the wide receiver from Ohio State.
These wide receivers are falling for some reason. 2 running backs for a single wide receiver.
2 running backs in the first round. Has nobody learned anything? Never pay a running back in the first round. They are replaceable.
He had second round pick written all over him.
We were speechless. We had nothing to say about Jameer. We were just Jameer Gibbs goes off the board. We were like, we had nothing. We were just dead air.
Yeah. Like this is admitted as we're not hey, this is nice not drafting in the top 5. So because that's usually where the Jets are and the Giants too. Usually the Jets and Giants are off the board within the top 10. So this is a nice new thing.
I know we're usually mainstays atop the board.
Right. It's like now you have to think about who you're supposed to pick because the guy you're supposed to pick is gone.
Yeah,
Show
as we're looking at
show the ambience.
Yes, and Sammy D has a quite impressive man cave here. I don't want to put it down on the nice cool table, but like we got a hell of a setup here.
Oh man.
Well, I see that Sammy D and you have the same interest in.
That's the pose of someone who's talking to a young kid, like,
envious.
Now
I've kind of got my
this is my life goal right here. Even though my house isn't as big as his,
I got a mini little.
Yeah, you have a smaller version of that. Yours is.
I do. But my thing is though, I have it mixed with sports and all like the nerdy pop culture stuff. So it's just a whole tornado.
Sammy has it too. There's a whole wall of Godfather stuff and other movies along it. along there, and he has multiple walls of. Let's see the Funko Pop wall of.
Oh yeah, that's
all
what I'm
kinds
talking
of.
about. I had to move all mine out into the other room because I can't stop getting there.
All right,
Pick is in.
pick is in.
It's in.
Pick is in, and
I'm
guys
hoping
are
for
ahead of
Christian
us.
Gonzalez there.
pick hasn't even happened here, and
There's
this
no
is where
trade.
we're at.
There's
Tell you
no
what,
trade,
I'll
guys.
pick receiver in a second.
No trade. So
Pick is in.
so wide receiver from Ohio State.
OSU. Yes, there we go.
I am expecting not the wide receiver. I am thinking. I suggested earlier you get a second cornerback and then you play 9-on-9 football.
Well, out for Aaron. All offense, all day. I don't care what happens in the future. Let's have one good season, Jet fans. Just one, give me. I don't give. Mortgage the future. Get us weapons. Get us points. Let's go.
In two of the
Just
past
one.
3 years,
Just
we've
one.
had teams sell their souls and all of their
Don't
future
care.
draft picks for a Super Bowl, and it's worked. Why not us? Fuck it. I'm coming around.
The Jets have
Sorry.
never. The Jets have
I'm
never
coming around
been.
to your line of thinking, Brandon. Where
Thank
just
you. Thank
throw it
you.
all in.
Thank you.
A
That's what I've
bunch
been
of-
saying this
A
whole
bunch
time.
of shots and other Jet fans does it to him.
And there has never been a more win now roster that the Jets have ever put out on a field as what they did last year and going into this year.
I think that they're 1 year short because they need to shore up the safeties and the corners. So this isn't quite a Super Bowl roster. I mean, it can
That's
be.
why Gonzalez right here is a beautiful choice.
Not until the pick goes in. That's the Super Bowl roster.
But
Here we go.
Yeah.
If it's a good pick,
Win.
shots. If it's a good pick, shots.
At least I won the bet because they're not trading down. So let's see who they pick. The wide receiver.
Yeah. We all had bets of what the Jets would do here. 3 of us picked trade down, so the 3 of us all lost because
No, that Jets first that swap was the only first round movement they were gonna do.
If they pick the wide receiver, you have to show a picture of me on here.
Yeah.
Celebrate.
It's the receiver, baby. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
all right.
Kid.
What we got?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, what we got?
Big wish kid. No. Let's go. Make a wish kid. Make a wish kid. Make a wish kid.
All right, make a wish, kid. What do you got?
Go make a wish. Let's go,
I
Kyle.
tell you, the excitement is compelling to say the least. Here at JD's party. There it comes. He looks like Zach Wilson.
That's dope.
Yes, he does.
Yeah! J-E-T-S! Yes! Let's go, Jets, go!
All right, the Jets are pulling this all the way out to 10 o'clock.
Bro, that kid's got drip. Look at that tie. Look at the handkerchief.
Oh yeah, he's all in.
Yes, sir.
All right, you said it, Kyle.
And thank you, make a wish, kid.
Ryan! Get the man!
His name is Kyle.
Let's go! E-T-S! Jets! Who the hell is that? Who the fuck is that?
Oh,
Who?
hold on. Don't say it. Don't say it. Hold on. Don't say nothing.
Why?
Because we haven't heard yet.
Hey!
¿Por qué?
Hold on. Hold on.
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
Who?
Amor, ¿por qué?
Okay, all right.
Wait.
Yeah. I don't know who he
He had
is either.
17 sacks in his intramural league last season, apparently. Who?
God damn it. All right,
Okay.
all right, hold on. Let me.
Just because we don't know who he is.
Why? Why?
Hold on.
Why?
Okay. All right.
Why?
Oh, he's the guy that jumps over cars and shit, though.
Hey, at least the Mets won.
What is this, some Blake Griffin shit where he jumps over cars? Cool. Can he play football?
Yes, he can. He can play football.
We didn't need
yeah,
an edge rusher. We didn't need an edge rusher.
Yes, you always need edge rushers.
you
You
yes,
always need
yes.
edge rushers.
Yes.
We don't need edge rushers. We need tackles.
Is this some Rex Ryan shit where we're just back to picking
No,
the best
no.
defensive player all over
This
again?
is not a bad. This is not a terrible pick.
It's not. I think there were better options, but it's not terrible.
Why?
I can't believe I have to talk these guys down, or else I would.
Why?
Why? Because you're always.
Why?
Because you got to get edge rushers. There's never enough.
God.
The Eagles have 4 edge
Can't wait
rushers
to
still
get my
couldn't get to.
McDonald jersey. Who?
Here,
McDonald is gonna have a good
Here.
advertisement.
here, put it on. I got it.
Yeah.
I
There
got
you go. There you go.
Put it on. I was ready. You see, I manifested this pick. My dinner.
There you go.
I manifested this pick with
They
McDonald's.
should have picked me. They should have picked me.
Look at it. He hits the
Oh,
weight
man.
room more than
They
these guys,
should have
apparently.
picked me with the 15th pick, 2023 draft. Love Kate.
I think they did
Outside
better with McDonald's for
linebacker.
sure. I think
Kingsborough.
McDonald's a better option than
Kingsborough
you.
Community College. 1 year eligibility. I'm in. Thank you. I'll take my $2 million, sprain my ACL, call it a day.
I
That means
don't
he's
think
fresh. He's got minimal wear and tear on him.
SOFJ.
Gotta have faith. Keep the faith.
Why? 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 ¿Por qué?
so. When this guy turns out,
¿Por
when this,
qué?
I
They did this.
help
They-
for a guy to be better than Gastineau than I have right now for this guy.
By the way, do you like my setup?
I do.
That's nice.
I'm a big
Yes.
fan.
Yes.
See this will help get the defense off the field even faster. The Rodgers can play.
God.
We got to do misery shot.
Man.
Misery shot.
All right, misery shot is the.
We're having a misery shot. Okay.
Kyle's comment, who the F is Tingus Pingus?
All right.
He's McDonald.
Now watch.
Will a misery shot on camera get us bounced, do you think?
We're not on that network. We're just on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay.
They definitely never need to trade down.
All right. So should we do the misery shot live on camera?
I don't think that's necessary. I think you guys are overreacting.
Yeah, I think this is
Probably, but
Yeah.
I just kind of put it on and roll with it. But
Of course you do. Of course you do. You're a true fandom, and I don't know how the rest of the
Wait, hold
fandom
on,
is
though.
reacting.
Wait,
But-
in all seriousness, after what Joe Douglas has proven, do we really think, especially after the heels of what just happened, that he would go into this first pick and completely botch it? I don't think so.
I think it's future trade fodder. I wouldn't be surprised to see them trade back into the first round, a late pick.
So here's the thing. As Brendan and I were saying before, just like when the Eagles picked another defensive tackle, if you have 4 defensive linemen, great. If you have 5, now you get to rotate and they're more fresh. And that's what this is. This is Robert Saleh remembering what it was like when you had 4 great defensive linemen in San Francisco and they're going, what if there's a 5th? What if I can take Bosa off the field on 3rd downs in the middle of the game, and then in the 4th quarter, Bosa's 100%. This is all about rotating those defensive linemen with all of those quarterbacks that they are going to face, especially if they make it to the playoffs. You got to get to Burrow. You got to get to Allen. You got
Trust
to get
bro, we got
We
this.
also have
guys,
to remember that
guys.
Quinn Williams is not signed. Now, if for any
He's gonna
reason,
be signed. He's
something-
gonna be
yeah,
signed.
I know. But if something happens where they split, you have somewhat of a backup plan.
But dude, he's an edge. He's not a tackle. We got edges.
all you need.
We got
Yes.
enough edges. And
You got
and
to
this
rotate
is
those
what
guys
bothers
out.
me.
Yeah, but if you can move some of these edge guys inside, do you know how versatile you can make that line?
The only
That's
guy
true.
Look
that
at what
you
the
can do
Eagles
with
did
was-
last
is
year.
with Clemens.
The Eagles had one tackle,
It's
the rest were
Clemens.
edge guys, and they put him inside and let them rush as edge rushers from inside. This is the modern NFL. You can rush edgers inside.
Wow.
Yeah, I at first I was, but then it took me
Honestly,
thinking about it. This is
Honestly,
fine.
if this was the case, I would have taken Christian Gonzalez over this guy.
I wanted the Gonzalez.
They just took Emmanuel Forbes over him.
Wow, so they're going in on Powell
Yeah. All right.
or
I think the O lineman they wanted was the one that was off the board before.
Yes, that killed him. Broderick
And
Jones
that,
going off
that
the board.
killed them, so this was the backup pick.
And guess who did that to them? You don't think
The
Belichick did it?
goddamn Patriots.
You don't think he knew?
We've been saying it all night. I've been saying it since they did the Rodgers trade the other day. Yes, it's only 2 picks, but the Patriots were in between them. They'll find a way to screw them. They always find Belichick's entire life mission.
Hold on, though.
Now
We
now
have
that
to.
now that Brady's not around is to screw the Jets.
Patriots elbow smash.
But think about it, though. He has nobody to Mac Jones to throw to.
So now this is a team that actually needs JSN. And now he gets him at 17. Now the guy from Ohio State that you guys wanted, which I think was the wrong pick for the Jets. I think the offensive weapon.
Yeah, I think there's a few different ways they could have gone with this pick. I don't think it's terrible. It's unexpected.
This is
Although the room disagrees with me clearly.
right. But this Kyle asked who was going to be the first team who went with the pick, and we went, huh? And although Detroit left me speechless, there was somebody earlier. I thought Witherspoon was earlier for that particular cornerback, but
I also think the Anthony Richards pick at 4 to the Colts is absurd.
But I knew him.
Yeah,
But I
that's
knew him.
absolutely absurd. But
No,
as
that
the
is
team with-
asinine.
But I do not know him. When I did the quick research, I saw what he did, how he dominated the Senior Bowl. There was
he was good at Florida, but not number 4 pick good.
right. But yeah, I think the Jets picked a guy who I had no idea who he was at all.
Guess who the Patriots just drafted?
Christian Gonzalez.
And New England is on the clock. And who we got?
Christian Gonzalez. All right. With that, it's after
Who would have fit in
It's after
greatly in the
10 o'clock.
Great.
Will Levis is falling like a rock, and I am going to take off, guys.
Will Levis is this year's green room draft Schadenfreude. There's one every year. And you
Yes,
know
he
who
is.
was the first one that established this pattern? Was
Aaron
Aaron Rodgers in 2004.
So with that, gentlemen, you continue. Good luck.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to log off in a minute as well. I wanted to get to this point. It's getting late, but on Monday we'll do a recap.
We'll do a full draft recap.
Yeah,
Because I don't think any of us are going to make it through the whole first round the rate things are going. All this trades made it take really long.
no, I'm surprised we don't get a full kind of 30 for 30 on every single player in between each pick. I'm surprised round 1 isn't a weekend by itself with the way they want to milk this.
It used to be because up until about 10 years ago, they had 15 minutes on the clock for each first round pick, not 10, which the first round pick just took, like when the draft started at 12 o'clock on a Saturday, it would take until 6 o'clock for the first round to run.
Yeah.
But we're heading back towards that again somehow, even though less time is on the clock. I don't know how.
Because they find a way to fill it in with extra bullshit, the extra analysis, extra, an origin story.
Why does the number one pick needs to take the whole 10 minutes when they've been thinking for months about who they're going to take?
If not a year, depending on how terrible their situation was. So, all right. Well,
all right. We're logging off here. This this turned out even better than I expected, just because the pick win side went differently. But
there's no script for something like that. Well, people might think so. Actually, I shouldn't say that.
I knew something would happen. I didn't know what, which is why I wanted to roll with it. And it. Wow.
But
great.
Yeah. So we'll do a full recap on Monday. So JD, I will talk to you then with Scott, Obie, and the rest of our guys, and we'll have our usual Monday show.
Amity and the rest of the Jetsters, we're all right. And for JD Walker and the rest of the Jetsters, we're jumping off. We're getting a message from behind the curtain. I don't know if we're supposed to keep this going or what, but
no, it's all good. We'll we'll call it now, and we'll see you guys on Monday on Sports Den with our regular show. Have a good night.
Take care.
Cool. So we have Michael Clement, Jermaine Johnson, and McDonald. Cool. The conference. I love this big thing for pointing out. You know what they want to push the envelope. They can talk about a little bit with